Hello, and welcome to our review for Memento Mori, the sixth episode of the sixth season of the 100. We just got done watching that, and I thought it was a really nice episode. I enjoyed the stuff that they did with Gabriel and the something in a bottle. What did they call it? Time in a bottle. That was like a healing serum type
The
magic.
priest.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was neat. Like it felt like a magic potion, almost like something out of a video game. Very fun, very sci-fi. And I thought the other stuff that they did with Clark was like, or not Clark, with Josephine was really fast paced. I wasn't sure how quickly everybody would find out that Clark was not Clark, that she was Josephine, that she was dead. And I thought it would be kind of quick, but I didn't think that everybody would be aware of it by the end of the episode. I thought that was really kind of like interesting and unique to the show. Like this is something that's kind of like they do a lot. They move quicker than you would expect. You're like, oh, that will happen by like the end of the season, but no. Next episode, they're already moved on to some new storyline threads.
hmm
What do you think is the significance of the name Memento Mori? I think you said it's like Italian for something, this some kind of
Oh, I
saying
don't know if it's
or Latin.
Italian, but I mean, I just looked it up. Like, if we're being honest,
Yeah.
it means like a reminder of death, which is kind of interesting because, like, I mean, everything's a reminder of death in the 100 in a lot of ways, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know, every person is like has killed someone, so it's always like everything is means death. I don't know what specifically it's referring to in this episode. Like,
Well,
I mean,
I was just thinking like after I said that, like what could be like the significance? And I think one of the things that really stands out to me reflecting on that episode was that clock that Riker had in the workshop that went
yeah,
off, and that was kind of like a memento
and
of,
the like, watch thing that he was wearing.
and he
That's
kind of like,
interesting. I forgot about that part.
yeah,
I yeah.
it's his way to pay respect to those who sacrificed themselves so that he could live. And a lot of people have sacrificed themselves so that they can live, like Raven, and Finn. Finn kind of sacrificed himself for the group, and Raven probably remembers him in some ways and has little mementos for him. Like in one way, I think what Riker and his family have done for each other is just helping them survive, and they that's the way they've kind of rationalized it, and it got to the point that they don't actually need to die because they've got the technology. So in a way, it is kind of similar to the way that what they're asking of other people is kind of similar to the way that Finn sacrificed himself for the group. Because when you have a group of leaders like Riker and all the primes, you'll probably have a very stable, safe society. Like they don't have succession problems. Like that was one of the historically bad problems with monarchies. Things were great once you had a monarch that had been in power for like 40 years. Typically, everything got better the longer a monarch was in power. And when they died, when their sons vied for power, that was the worst time in an empire. So, hypothetically, if you had like leaders that had been in charge of a society for 200 years, things would only start to get better. It would be kind of like a noble thing to pursue. And I could see why they would want to keep that up as a society, why they would like pay respect to those who gave their sacrifices, like the all the people that allowed Riker to continue being Riker, to continue helping his society. What do you
You
think?
sound like you just the way you're talking about that. You sound like Josephine trying to be Clark to Clark's mom, like justifying all this stuff.
Uh,
I don't know. I don't know.
they're not bad guys. I think what's interesting is like they're totally relatable. Like Russell is very relatable. He killed his family and he just wants to like do everything he can for them, and the extension of that is pretty horrible. But like I get it. Like it's not like he's just a mad person, like a crazy person who's out of his mind. He was for a second. That's what led to him to kill his family. But like he is a far more nuanced enemy, whereas Josephine in a lot of ways isn't. She's just like evil. She
Mm-hmm.
enjoys being in charge, being superior. She's kind of like a Nazi. She wants to purify the bloodline. It's bad stuff. I really thought it was crazy how she killed off Kaylee's family this episode. I thought she was so ruthless. I did not expect them to do that. I like after they killed off Kaylee, I was like, that's not a big deal, right? She's gonna come back because she's got the chip. And I'm not sure if Kaylee even recognized that that was gonna be her last death. You know, like when that happened, she probably thought, oh, that's not cool. We don't have any other hosts. It's gonna be forever until I get to come back. And who knows what it's like to be on ice, whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, the thing that's interesting about that to me is like the way they said it. It sounded like they had a lot of primes just waiting for hosts, and like that's how it looked in the shot, like with the little carousel of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why get rid of the ones who you like who you've seen recently? You know what I mean?
Well,
Why
they
not get rid of the ones who you haven't seen in a long time? I don't know. I'm just curious, like how many more primes there are, because there was another point where it was like we could bring back everybody if we, or Josephine said like we could bring back everyone at once if they can make the night blood, right?
yeah, I
So
forget
it's
how
like
many were in line, but
everyone.
I think
That's like a ton of people. Like they have a lot of people in the colony already. If they can bring back everyone, well, how many people is that? Like it's just gonna be like a walking colony of like. And are they gonna keep like human people? Like, can you? I don't know. How does this work?
I
Can
don't
primes like have kids? Like, if they inhabit another body, can those two bodies have a kid? Like, is that a thing, or do they have to like keep non like affected humans around to like produce more human, does that make sense? I'm just a little bit like, what's happening?
they're getting to that. There's no doubt in my mind they will explain that because Gabriel gave us a little bit more info on what is the term for somebody who's not a Nightblood, who's not like got the royal blood in the Moon Society, the people living in Sanctum. They call them nulls, and they're not allowed to have kids, and they basically have simple jobs like being a guard or taking care of toilets, cleaning that type of stuff, janitors. Like they're not given important jobs like being a scientist or an engineer. Like that kind of stuff apparently is all reserved for um, the primes. They get to do all of the important stuff.
So, but it okay, I guess I might have missed something because it seems like there aren't enough primes to go around at the moment. It seems like there's not very many
I think there's some off
off
camera
camera.
primes like because they did say at one point how far back Josephine was in the line of succession, and I think it was something like two people were ahead of her in the line for getting their next host. Um, or I could be wrong about that, but that's what I remembered. And they may have just been like referring to the extra ones and Kaylee's family, but the fact is that Kaylee's family was disloyal and tried to go up in the spaceship. I think was why they kind of got like singled out separately and were the ones that they were first likely to get rid of. Who knows if like Josephine's mom has some kind of problem with that family too. I think they'll give us more information into why Kaylee tried to kill Josephine and who it was that they kind of like offered to this offering grove. Because it sounds like, Jade's going to be there in the next episode whenever they come back to her. And they'll probably revisit that whole thing with Kaylee, I think, in the near future before we all forget about it, before it becomes irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was pretty cool that they confirmed that the old man that they've been talking about is Gabriel because I think I said in one of our videos to you that I thought it was Gabriel and that they hadn't quite said that and you're like there's no way he's still alive, right?
Well, yeah, how would he still be alive? We have confirmation it's been like 200 years, right? Or I mean, we already knew that.
Mm-hmm.
So how is he alive? Was he like, does he have some other way of immortality? Are those people actually doing the same thing as the primes and just like calling it something else?
I
Hmm.
I think this temporal anomaly is gonna be related to
Yeah,
his like lack of dying and the fact that he's an old man may be like, I don't know, referring to just his age and not really the way he looks. He may not even look human anymore. He may be just like a tree or something weird. I have no idea what to expect when they actually find him.
that's what the offering grove is.
He's the offering. Who he could be. Like
That would
maybe
be
he's
really,
connected to
really weird if that was
the
like
planet.
an energy source for like Gabriel and that's how they like keep them off the property, but that doesn't make like sense. I
I
want to,
don't.
yeah, I want to know more about the offering grove. It's interesting.
Yeah, it didn't seem like that guard that lowered down the shield that was like offered to the offering grove tree. It doesn't sound like he was necessarily a goner. Like Jade said, be strong, and it seemed like he could have made it through it, which I think means Jade will survive it. Like she's not dead. Like they'll be able to come back to her in a couple days, and maybe she's broken out of there and comes in useful at some point for the primes and saves Josephine or Russell or something like that. Probably Josephine since she's supposed to protect Josephine.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really get that vibe from what she was saying. I got more like offer up as much energy as you can to these freaking vines. Like, don't like give in to the pain or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Not like he would come out of it alive, because I think it'd be a little difficult after you're like completely encased in vines under your skin to like come back from that. Sorry, that was kind of gross, but
It's fine.
that's what it was. Um, I don't know. I didn't really get the idea that he was gonna survive that.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out more pretty soon. I think we both thought it was kind of weird that Josephine told Murphy to shut up when she went down after talking to Maddie right in front of Gaia, and we both thought Gaia picked up on that, right? Like,
Well, I thought she did, but she seemed fairly oblivious or just totally like uninterested
yeah,
because
poor.
she's more focused on the whole Shane Hada thing. Or how do you say it? Is it? I
I
haven't
think it's
been
like Shade Hada or something like
Shade.
that. It's like Shady Hada. Yeah, she was a. I'll give it her that she was a bit distracted. She had to read that book by Titus that explained the ritual, but probably didn't have all the information she needed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like she didn't really tell Maddie all the information she needed to get her on her side, and it was pretty inevitable that Maddie was going to start to rely on the commander, especially once we found out that Bellamy was like, going to try and survive and try and get over Clark's death, even though now we know she's not really dead. I thought, yeah, yeah,
I
that
didn't really
that
get
was
to that. Well, I think her consciousness is not dead, but not necessarily like that she can come back into another body. I guess like they're probably gonna figure out some way to do that, right? By the end of the season. Like
she
swap Josephine and Clark back or something and like I don't know.
she's in the subconscious. Like she was.
Right.
I think they said that they're gonna make the people dormant, but like the way Josephine thinks of it is they're dead, but they're probably not really gone forever. When they dream, when they go into the dream state, it's probably very similar to the way the commanders interact with each other. It's more fluid in the dream state. Like there's less barriers for whatever reason.
Mm.
Like I think there's a reason that they're showing um, Maddie's interactions in her mind at the same time that we're seeing Clark kind of having these confrontations with Josephine. Like the the dark commander, the Shade Hada, is probably like Josephine in Clark's head right now, but because of the way the system or whatever was developed, it slightly prefers the host over the whatever, the flame, the people in the flame. or vice versa.
Right.
They're very similar in a lot of ways.
Well, it's yeah, it's basically the same technology, is it not? I mean, to some extent. Anyway, whatever. I'm more interested in where and why Clark was in her freaking little jail room in that dreamscape or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, theoretically, that could be a Memento Mori too, right? Like,
Yeah, she thought she was gonna die, I think.
well, yeah, but why was she in there? I
But
forget.
it was something to do with her dad and mom trying to like talk about a secret about the ark dying, and I think she just knew the secret, so they kept her in there. Maybe she may have done something like try and talk about it, and to keep her quiet, I think they put her in prison.
Hmm. Well, anyway, Memento Mori.
Yeah, it may be like her safe place for whatever reason. Like Maddie's safe place is it was when she met Clark, but Clark's safe place maybe before she even went down to Earth. Maybe she felt the safest on the Ark, even
Mm,
though.
yeah, it would make sense, right? Like, everything since then has been like complete chaos for her
Mm-hmm.
and for everybody for to some extent. So,
Yeah, I think that makes sense based on what we've seen.
yeah.
Trying to figure out what else we haven't talked about from my notes. I think we've pretty much talked about everything. We didn't talk about the anomaly and how it called Gabriel and it called Octavia, and I think it's also called Diosa, right?
Yeah, well, that's what it looked like in her notebook.
She'd been like,
Fibonacci sequence.
yeah, it was slightly different in her notebook, but that was, I'm pretty sure, something she's been doodling in for
Yeah.
at least a couple episodes. I forget when exactly she started doing that, but she wasn't exposed to the same anomaly, which, or the same temporal thingy storm, whatever you call it. And that makes me wonder, why are those three called to the anomaly? Is how is that related to the old man? I feel like it has to be because apparently he knows more about the anomalies. He has more answers than Gabriel does. And I thought for a little bit that maybe Gabriel was in Xavier's head. Maybe he might is like there's still a possibility of it. But if he is, he's very like um passive and not like dominant. He only comes out when he wants to or when he's called upon. I'm not entirely sure how that's gonna work.
I mean, it's the secret of the season, right? Who is Gabriel? Who is the old man? Like, it's been 6 freaking episodes and they haven't even shown the guy or anywhere where he lives or really haven't like described him at all beyond like he's the old man who knows stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When is it coming? Like,
If not next week, I think the week after that we'll see him. Maybe at the end of the next episode we'll see him.
it just seems like they can't draw it out that much longer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The suspense.
Well, they have to kill everybody in Sanctum. At least Maddie has to. That'll probably be most of the next episode. Her killing people.
Yeah, maybe. Who's she gonna kill? I mean,
Russell's wife. She's dead. I'm calling it. She's super dead.
yeah, she's not that exciting of a character, and she just did something lame. So,
Yeah, it's her and Priya, I think. Priya's kind of expendable, and since she's related to Riker, it's like, I feel like maybe. And then Riker's gonna have extra motivation to try and find new hosts.
mm-hmm.
I really did not think Murphy was going to actually go the route that he went, siding with these people. I thought it was all a trick. I thought he was trying to be like a double agent, but It really does seem like he was a cockroach, huh?
I guess. I mean, he's sort of like at the end was like, I'm trying to save everybody, ugh, like saving his butt or whatever. But I don't know.
It is the practical thing, but it's like Bellamy isn't acting with his heart. It's kind of like it reminds me of what Jordan said to him the other day. It's like when you think with your head and not your heart, that's a problem. Like you were always your best when you thought with your heart.
Mm-hmm. Where was Jordan this episode? Hmm. Hmm.
That's a really good question. Where was Jordan? I don't
They
think.
mentioned him right at the beginning, and then so
Yeah, what did they say? I don't even remember. He wasn't on the spaceship,
someone.
right?
No, I don't think so. Someone was like, "Oh, we saw Jordan on the way here. He told us something. Oh, he told us about the immortality thing."
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. I
I
remember
don't remember who that was,
Amori,
but
Amori and
I love it.
Raven and Echo were like, "Hey, so we heard." But I believe that was it. That's all that happened with Jordan.
Yeah,
So he's coming back next episode. I'm sure he's been sneaking around doing his thing, trying to find a better way.
yeah. I don't know.
That sounds like a good point for him and Maddie to meet up and start to be good friends, and for your theory to start to manifest.
I don't know. Maybe my theory's not gonna happen anymore. Maddie's gone off the deep end. So
No, she's fine. Especially when she finds out Clark's not really dead. She'll be fine.
I don't know why you keep saying that. I'm pretty sure Clark's not coming back in a corporal form.
She might just like fight against
I think
Josephine
you know
until
it'd be really interesting if
Josephine's in.
somehow Josephine and Maddie's minds got connected, and then Clark traveled and decided to fight the Shane Hada. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, with like a sword or something, right? No, with a
Yeah,
gun.
or like the power of the mind, because that's all they can really do, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously, the guy when he popped out at the end there, he was like, "Do it, do it, do it," and obviously he couldn't do it himself, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he's non corporeal.
That's the next level, Dagmar. They need to have the ability to project themselves out of the mind into the real world, just temporarily, not like all the time. That'd be ridiculous.
I think it'd be pretty cool if somehow they swung that. Like, how would they do that? That'd be so cool.
You need to like eat a lot of food or something because it'd be draining. I don't know. It's something like that. It seems like a possibility, but I don't think they're gonna go that route. Oh, I did put in my notes that the sleeplessness that Josephine described at the beginning of the episode was a pretty big indication that Clark may not be dead, and I was pretty happy to see that they actually followed up with that by the end of the episode. Like I wrote that down right at the beginning of the episode that they mentioned something about her being uh, sleeplessness, or just like not sleepy. And
Right.
every time she goes into a new host, that happens. And I think that's because the host doesn't give up right away. There's some kind of resistance. And I think if you go to sleep sooner, maybe that's a problem. And Josephine just doesn't want to deal with that. She just wants to get like in her routine a little bit more comfortable. And then she's like, I'm in charge. You're not in charge. You're in prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's everything that I had in my notes. Is there anything that you may want to bring up before we wrap this up?
I don't think so, but I would like to see more bioluminescence. That was pretty cool. That just popped up there.
The luminescent stuff with around Xavier and stuff like that. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about? Yeah,
the bioluminescence. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Oh, I did put in here that Raven said that she hasn't done anything that she regrets, and I was like, is that really true? I don't know. I feel like it's probably true. She's been pretty consistent as a character, right?
Yeah.
Maybe she will this season. Maybe she won't. I think she'll probably stay moral. She'll probably get Riker to do the right thing in the end.
Maybe. I don't know. Mm. I hope they don't get together. I feel like it's gonna happen, but
they're definitely moving in that direction. I think it's pretty safe to say that's probably what
Yeah.
they're gonna do. But
Boo.
yeah, boo indeed.
Honestly, I feel like every time I say something like that, like I'm just like super anti relationships and shows. Like I just don't want. I hate when they do that. It always feels cheap to me.
Well, the thing that's really annoying about this one in particular is how long has Shaw been dead? Like,
3 days
yeah,
ish.
come on, come on, Raven.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. But it seems like she hates him a lot. But that's also how she has historically gotten her her partners
Yeah,
in some respect.
I think you said. I think you're referring to her and Bellamy like a long
I
time
would,
ago.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I think there's, yeah. Anyway, you'll
way
see.
back when. But yeah, I'm starting to run out of energy and things in my notes. Stuff about Jade, but whatever.
Yeah, we're tired. Let's go.
I'm ready to wrap this one up. But yeah, I'm super excited for the one next week, and we'll see you for that one then.